And so I'm Coach David Heeb, joined by my brother Toby Heeb. What's going on, Tobe?
I'm just sitting here. I've been watching some football since I got home from practice. We had a really good Sunday afternoon practice. Got some good scrimmaging in, and got out. I got some Patriots fans on my ball team. I've always been a Patriots fan, and we thought, Jacksonville might pull it off.
And they look good.
One of my boys, he was panicking. He left the gym. He was flustered, but Tom, he done it. And now we got Nick Foles running shop on the Vikings.
Yeah, it was a great game. Lot to talk about tonight. We'll jump right in. 3:10. Everybody's got to be on the baseline ready to go, and so let's just start this thing up. So the first thing I want to talk about is the proposed rule change with MSHSAA. And before we get to that, I just want to say, there's an article on the website. People haven't read it yet. Go check it out. Talking about this new championship factor idea that MSHSAA's got. There's a lot of other rules changes that, every year at these meetings, there's a lot of rules changes that they're talking to us about. This is what might be on the ballot. This is what we're thinking about.
Right.
But if they talk about it at this meeting, it's pretty far down the road already, and so there's a good chance you're going to see it on the ballot. I just want to make one point clear. Dr. Kerwin Erhan, who runs MSHSAA, he's their executive director. I've known Kerwin since I was 11 years old. I know Kerwin. He was a student teacher at Scott County Central when I was a kid. I know his brother, Derek. I've met his mom and dad. I know other people that work at MSHSAA. Kevin Garner that runs basketball, like Kevin a lot, like Kerwin a lot. They're good people. The people that work at MSHSAA are good people. I just think this is a horrible idea. And
everybody has one or two of those also. So it's not it's not uncommon.
It's okay. Yeah. And so anyway, I just want to get that out of the way. It's not anything. There are good people that work up there, and they're trying to do what's right and all that good stuff. And but kind of give me your take.
It's not like you're making you're making tea.
No, it's
in the 1920s in the background.
It's not tea. It's some cookies here that I got to get out of the oven. So tell me what you thought about the article real quick.
Well, first of all, when you texted me this the other day and asked if I heard about this championship factor that MSHSAA's trying to pass, and those words, I thought it was going to be something really, really cool. Championship factor, like, you got all these
good.
Championships. Now, like, one thing I've always thought that would be awesome, and it may never pan out to something as cool. I always thought, especially when it was 4 classes, if you could have the 4 winners.
I'm with you.
Let's just play a one-day tournament or whatever, and that's a championship factor. Because there's years, especially the Otto Porter years, where Scott Central might win the tournament of all 4.
1980, you had Scott County Central 2A state champions,
right?
Charleston Blue Jays 3A state champions, Cape Central Tigers 4A state champions, all in the SEMO Christmas tournament. Scott Central wins the SEMO Christmas tournament. And then here's one even better for you. They lost 1 ball game that year. They beat the 3A and 4A state champs. Their only loss that year, now they had Jeff Limbaugh was hurt. He didn't play that night. But they lost to Bell City, who's a 1A school. It's their only loss all year long.
Crazy.
And so it just goes to show you, like in a given year, a 1A, a 2A may be that, that team that could beat everybody.
And so, that, to me, that's a championship factor. Like, let's take all the champions into factor and see who the best is. Most of the time it's going to be your largest school, but that's okay. Go out there and compete and see what happens. But then, you got to explaining it to me, and then, of course, wrote the article, which is on the website, justwintoday.com. If you haven't read it, you're in a select group of a few people.
It kind of broke the internet, how many people
read it. It did a little while. I mean,
yeah, and I'm sorry about that.
There was other things important in the country going on.
Right.
If that wasn't happening, it would have been trending on Twitter. But, it's to me, it's just crazy to think. And you and I keep talking about it, and everybody on the comments mostly talk about Class 1 schools and how it would affect them. Because you go on a run in Class 1, you've got a good group, like we talked about the Scott Central or even the Bell City groups where, you went to state. You go to the Final Four 3, 4, 5 years in a row, or, the 4 out of 6, which is the proposed. And then after that, it really drops off.
That was my proposal. That was
you.
Because
okay.
they didn't leave it anywhere. The exact wording was, if you make a deep run in the playoffs,
right,
for
right.
a lot of years in a row.
And that's
so
where you're thinking,
my
what's
thing
a deep
is,
run?
What's a deep run? And so, like, one of the people I talked to, since the article's come out, I talked to Pete McBride. And I said, Pete, like your program, they have won one state championship, but they've only won one.
Right.
Well, they make a run every year. Like, what if they got to the quarterfinal in 3 out of 5 years or something like that?
Yeah.
Well, now do they have to go to Class 2 and they never won it? And here's the ultimate example. I'll use my own school as an example. We went to the Final Four last year, and we had 6 players. It was a big story. We only had 6 players on the team. We're a very small school.
And girls basketball.
Girls basketball, we went with 6 players. So we made a miracle run. It was a great thing for our community. Well, we get up there. Those girls are all graduated. They're gone now. We've got one returning player, and the rest, she's a sophomore. The rest of our team are freshmen. So we've got this really young group, and they're going to be good also. But let's just say that we don't make it this year. You know, we've got a good team, but somebody beats us. But those girls come back their sophomore year and get to state and get 4th. They get back their junior year, and they get 2nd. And so now we're coming back for their senior year. That year on the calendar, we're circling going, this is our year. We got a chance. And they go, oh, wait a minute. That's 3 out of 4 years for you guys. You got to go up to Class 2. And we never even won a state tournament.
Never won the whole thing.
That's crazy. Like, to me, or the best example, that's a good one, but like Bell City, they just won it in baseball 3 years in a row. Class 1 state title. They had a great group of kids come through. They had 2 really good pitchers. Those kids are all graduated. They're all out of school. They won 3 in a row. So now they got to go Class 2 this year.
Yep.
And they're all freshmen. They got a JV team playing in Class 2. You know, it's not even the same kids. It's not even the same kids.
How do you justify that? You know, where it's this group that's carried you. You know, and like, you know, the coaching does it, and we always say a little bit of luck helps you get there, but for the majority of it, it's these guys that you've got on the floor.
When you have a kid come along like a Dom Johnson, or a kid come along like an Otto Porter, or a kid come along like a Brad Beal, whatever, you're going to be good. And when that kid's gone, you know, and you got to have other players. We're not saying it's all about one kid or 2 kids, but, you know, you have a special group come through like, you know, back in the day when Oran had those real good teams that we had to play against. You could tell they were good in junior high.
Here's one for you. We've never talked about this one. The group at Kennett that won.
That's right.
I don't remember how many Boot Hill Conference games, or not Boot Hill Conference games in a row, and whatever, with Fred Garman and
those guys,
Ranger Crothers, all those. So his senior year, or the year after he graduates, they've won districts or whatever it was, and now they got to go Class 4, which they end up doing eventually because of enrollment, but you know,
it's just silly.
Do they got to do it because they've won so much? So you've won so much, go up a class.
They're not even there anymore. And then the more ridiculous part was, we have a multiplier in Missouri for private schools. So if they're, you know, 100 kids, they've got 135 kids by enrollment factor, because it's a 1.35 multiplier. Well, if the private schools are not having a lot of district championships, they get their multiplier dropped, so they can drop down for a year or 2. So it's like, if you're not any good, you can drop down, but if you're too good, you got to move up. And the whole thing is just silly, because especially, and it's unique to basketball, this would not happen in football or softball or baseball, but in basketball, where your girls and boys both play, theoretically, like I said in the article, a school like Oran, their girls are going to be really good the next 2 years. So they can go up to Class 3 girls basketball and be Class 2 boys basketball. That right there is all you need to say how unfair this is. Like the girls, they get one road, and what if, hypothetically, Leah Cobble and these really good girls teams that Oran's got right now, the guy that coaching them there is doing a great job. When they go through, now he's got to be Class 3. Those girls are all gone. What if they just have a group coming behind them that's not very good at all? But the boys are really, really, really good, and they haven't been winning. You know, it's just ridiculous. The whole idea is ridiculous. And
that's the other thing. Where does it stop? You know, if I make a deep run in Class 1 for 3 years, I go up to Class 2, and what if we're still good? We still got another group behind them.
That's good, and we win.
Do we go up to Class 3? And then the funny thing to me, and I don't think this is even part of the proposal or would happen, but we keep joking about it because it just seems that way. What if you're not good? Do you get to go down? I mean, you're like, for example, a school in Class 3 around here, Kelly High School, has had really good years, been struggling the last few years. Do they get to go to Class 2?
Right. It's just
Scott City right now, same thing.
It's silly. The whole thing is
And
silly.
And it's all about who you've got coming through.
And we said this jokingly, the Patriots are going to the 8th Super Bowl. So by championship factor, the Patriots now have to play against like aliens from other planets.
Yep, the Alien Football League.
They're not even allowed to play against the rest of the teams in the NFL.
They can't play humans. They're too good.
They're just too good, and it's not fair. And so moving on here, the second part of this article, if you haven't read it, go to the website, justwintoday.com, check it out. And the other part of the article is our proposal for the new state tournament. And I've actually proposed this to MSHSAA probably, I'm going to guess and say about 6 or 8 years ago. I proposed this exact same idea that I threw out today. And it's getting a lot of love. And basically, instead of trying to split public and private and all that like people are talking about, that's not going to happen. I'm just telling you, it's not on the horizon. One day it will happen.
And coming from you, I'll let people know, you were telling me 2 or 3 months ago it was happening.
Oh, I thought it was happening.
It was happening
because
now it's like you see things changing and whatnot.
There's so much anger right now. I'm a superintendent of a school. There's a lot of anger among superintendents in this state right now about what's going on with the State Board of Education, with the governor, with all that's going on. They're trying to push private school vouchers. They're trying to push charter school expansion, all these things. I'm just saying with that in the political backdrop, there's actually a law right now that's on the books. They're trying to get this passed that if MSHSAA were to pass a rule that split us, that said public and private are separate, or part of the law is even if they won't allow homeschool participation. So the homeschool kids would have to be able to participate in the district they live. If you don't allow that or you split the public and private, that any school receiving funding could not join that association. So we couldn't join MSHSAA if MSHSAA passed that rule. Mm-hmm. That's it. I mean, I've read the law. People, I'm telling you, that's really a thing that's happening. So with all that
and what if, before you get there, I'm going to throw this one out there. What if the championship factor passes and you go to a private public thing eventually? You got both of those in play, and there's one private class, and it's the same school going deep run. Who do they play against? Are you not allowed to play in the private school class anymore?
Yeah, and that's what some people are arguing right now. You can't multiply out of Class 5 anyway. You're already in the biggest class. So, but yeah, there's just so much politics, like real life politics going on besides sports. We're not going to split public and private. My idea, in a nutshell, is to go, instead of expanding classes, let's go back to 4. Let's go to the old 4-class system, and instead of taking the Final 4 to state, like what we call state, take the Final 8, the Elite 8 teams. So you're going to actually take 8 teams in 4 classes, which would be 32 boys teams and 32 girls teams, instead of right now taking the Final 4 in 5 classes, which is 20 boys teams and 20 girls teams. So more kids would actually get to go to state than go right now, but we would have fewer classes, so it would mean a little bit more to make it that far. And the other part of the idea, and this is what they do down in Arkansas, and I'm going to try to explain this in a way that makes sense. You play your district tournament just like we do now. You play it all the way through. Somebody gets first place and somebody gets second place. After the tournament, first and second place both move on. And they would play. So, like, I'll use an example like with us and Oran years ago. We beat Oran in the district championship, so we would move on as the 1. Oran would move on to the next round as the 2. The next district over, Clarkton beat Gideon. So Clarkton is the 1, and Gideon is the 2. So when we get to that, what we would call a sectional game now, we are the 1, we would play the 2, which is Gideon. Oran is the 2, and Clarkton is the 1. So let's just say hypothetically that us and Oran both won the next game. Well,
using those 2 isn't like a bias thing. It's to set up something really neat that happens down the road.
Exactly. And so I'm just using those 2 as an example. So we both win at the sectional round. We don't play each other. You don't play it on through. We just play their 2, and our 2 plays their 1. We both move on to the quarterfinal. At the quarterfinal, the same thing. You cross bracket. So we would play whoever was the 1 or the 2 from the other one, the 1 from the other one. What if both ones win? Well, then we're playing District 8 and they're playing District 7, something like that. You could have a couple.
And that's basically, they do something like
already.
that in baseball.
Yeah, we do all this already. And so let's say we got out there and it was Eminence and Thayer that were playing them to go to state. We beat Eminence and Oran beats Thayer. We both go to state now. So we're both because this will be going on in 4 places around the state, 4 quarterfinals. Mm-hmm. 2 teams at each quarterfinal would advance. So us and Oran both advance. You get to the state tournament, the coaches at the tournament, and you could bring other people into the seeding process, but the coaches would seed it, just like you do it at any other tournament. And if you wanted to put a couple MSHSAA officials in there as part of the seeding process or something,
right.
There's ways you could look at the seeding, but you seed the best 8 teams. You just seed it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So now you would play it Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and
which we do already.
Which we already do. And so all this is possible to do. The difference is you'd play 3 games up there instead of 2. No third place game.
That's not going to kill anybody.
Yeah, no third place game because we don't have room for that. Like if you're going to take all 8, you got to get rid of third place because there's a way you could still do it, but just for the sake of keeping it simple, there's no third place.
Right.
And so if you seeded it out this way, like I said, what if we were the 1 overall and Oran was the 3 overall, something like that? We could be on opposite sides of the bracket and meet in the state finals, and that has happened in Arkansas, where 2 teams from the same district actually played each other in the state championship game.
Yeah, and you thought that district championship game was packed when you played each other.
And
wait until those 2 places packed the Mizzou Arena or Springfield and then everybody else.
And the other part of it was I said, let's take everybody at once, classes 1 through 4. There's a way you could fit everybody in, and you could have like a boys championship day and a girls championship day. You could. I mean, there's so many. Like if you did it here in Columbia, you've got Rockbridge, you've got Battle, you've got Hickman, you've got 3 ginormous high schools up here.
Yeah.
But in addition to Columbia College, you got Mizzou. There's plenty of gyms up here that you could fit all this in.
The way I liked that you proposed in that is doing the girls one weekend, the boys another weekend, and I think that makes it simpler, a little cleaner for everybody. The only downfall would be, say, you're at a place where, like Oran last year, both schools make it to the Final Four. You'd have to go up 2 separate weekends if you're wanting to watch your teams. But at the same time, I also think that it's a deal where if you've got both up there at the same time, boys and girls, all 4 classes, 8 teams from each class, using those gyms, now you're paying more people.
Right.
You're bringing in more revenue, but how much of that's going to get spent on more people working the gate, more people doing this, whatever?
I mean, we're running 2 gyms already. I mean, so you're doubling the number of gyms you've got, but you're doubling, quadrupling the number of people at the game also. I just think,
and that's the big thing right there, is getting the people at the game, because you can look at the past years where
empty,
nobody's there.
I grew up a kid.
You went yesterday to the Sykeston, Whitfield game, and there's nobody there.
There's nobody,
but there's more people there than at the Final Four.
That's right. Well, it's hard to fill up Mizzou Arena. First of all, if that was at the field house, it might have felt like there's more people in there, but.
Right.
I'm a kid that grew up in the 80s going to Scott County Central Final Four every year. And I think that, just growing up, I love the state tournament. And the environment, our first state championship when we won at Bell City, the environment was so much better.
I can remember going to that as a 6th grader. And it was packed there. We sat at the very top.
So packed.
And then fast forward to Otto Porter's senior year when he breaks his dad's record for rebounds in a game. And it's maybe half the attendance, or at least feels like it. It's a new arena and everything. But, you would think that type of player there'd be more people. But a lot of that has to do with the 3 days and the day off in between and all that stuff. There's a ton of factors into that.
Yeah, I just think we need to do something to make the state tournament a better experience for the kids. That's what we always say.
It's got to be more important, too.
We've got to.
I feel like it's not as important.
And I think if you drop it back down to 4 classes, and if you're one of those 8 teams, just being a fan of basketball. Like yesterday, I went to the MFA shootout. I sat and watched 5 basketball games in a row, And just to see teams from all over the state get to play, everybody's not going to do that. Some people are just going to go watch their team, and that's fine.
But yeah.
I think there's a lot of fans who, if you could put a better tournament on, and so that's just my idea for that. And the article's up if people want to go read it. I won't get into all the details because, like I said, I already wrote the
You can
article.
get there and find it yourself. It's on www.justwintoday.com.
And so, be a winner. Next topic we wanted to talk about today is Trae Young. And since I was at the MFA shootout, I didn't get to see him shoot the ball 300 times.
Well, he shot it out.
And so talk about Trae Young. He's a good player.
Really good player. Played with the Porter brothers who are now at Mizzou for their AAU team the last few summers. And was, maybe sometimes in AAU games more important than Michael Porter because of the way he can shoot the ball. They compare him to Steph Curry because of his ability to shoot off the dribble. And he's got a really quick release, and he can shoot from deep. But he shoots a ton. And here's the numbers yesterday. I didn't look them up again, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. He had 48 points on 38 field goal attempts. 20 of those were three-pointers. So he had 38 field goal attempts. His team, the rest of the Oklahoma Sooners, had 27 field goal attempts combined. So he shot 11 more times than the rest of his team. And, to me, as good of a shooter as you are, and just look at the guys compared to Steph Curry. Steph does not shoot that much. And I like Trae Young. I think he's a really good player. But I also think, and you can also say he's leading the country in assists. But kind of one of those deals where we've talked about John Wall before, where he either scores or he gets the assist. Like there's not a ton of ball movement in there. The ball's just in one spot for the majority of the shot clock, and he shoots it, or it's in that spot and he passes it, and that guy shoots it. Makes it really easy on the defense to guard, I feel like. And
I'll take that even a step further. With Trae Young,
yeah.
He either shoots it, gets the assist, throws it away, or takes a bad shot.
Yeah, it's a turnover. And the guy that, I was laughing at on ESPN, I wasn't laughing at him, I was laughing at what he's saying. I can't remember his name, but he's just going off on how what Trae Young's doing is bad. It's bad for his team. He's got other players on his team. He said, if I was his teammate, I'm going to go up to him and say, hey, man, I'm open, pass me the ball. And there's two plays, one down the stretch of a regulation where he dribbles it kind of off his foot, and it goes in the backcourt, or it might have been off the other player's foot, I can't remember, but he could have touched the ball, and it's still been a live ball play. It goes in the backcourt, him and the guy that from Oklahoma State, they're both chasing it down. He kind of hedges like he's going to lean down and dive on the ball. The guy from Oklahoma State does lay out on the floor and dive on the ball, picks it up, flips it to a teammate for the layup. Now, keep in mind, Oklahoma loses in overtime by 3 points, 2 points, I can't remember, but there's a winning play right there. Freshman versus senior. Trae Young turns it over, doesn't lay out on the floor. Oklahoma State player does, they score.
Yeah,
and then in the last play of the game, Trae Young is practically triple teamed by the time he shoots the ball. There's a player in the opposite corner, wide open, for, a college player can easily make that diagonal skip pass from, the opposite part of half court to the other corner. And I'm thinking this guy's just wide open. And Trae Young shoots it tough, dribble, crossover, combo move, step back, sidestep, spin move, three. There wasn't a spin move. I made that part up. I thought it was funny. But the rest is pretty accurate. Whereas he could just throw the ball at half court to the guy that was already open.
Yeah, and that's the
it's
thing.
A ton of dribbling.
A lot of dribbling, and we're going to, I think Trae Young's a good player. I think he shoots too much. I think that he's young. He's going to get better. He's still a young player. And but let's shift it over to a little talking local basketball and just what's going on around the state.
Yep.
I was very fortunate, like I said yesterday, to go and watch the MFA shootout, and there was one game that was not close, but the other four all came down to the last minute situational basketball, and we're going to talk a little bit about just situations that I saw game situations where I saw good players struggling with game situations. It really, really surprised me. But I got to see Mid-Buchanan against Harrisburg. Both of those teams would not shock me at all if they're both in the Final Four at the end of the year. Both really good teams, really well coached.
Traditionally, teams that every now and then make deep runs who should probably
be
Class
need
4
to
or
be
5 schools.
I'm going to guess and say Class 7. I think you
Yes.
got to make Harrisburg Class 7 because they are just too good. And
It's Class 2.
Yeah, well, they're Class 2, and so you definitely can't leave them against playing schools their own size. But they press, they run, they remind me of like the old Paul Hale teams back when Paul Hale was coaching at Bernie and Dexter. 2-2-1, they run, they got a lot of hands on the basketball, running up and down the floor. They shoot it, but they're not just a stand outside a three-point line and shoot team. They are a drive and cut team. Really, I enjoyed watching Harrisburg play. I enjoyed Mid-Buchanan also. They had a good team. I got to see Helias against Hillsboro is who they played. Complete different style of play. They both like to run up and down the floor. But Helias leads the nation in tough shots. They take hard shots, and they can make them. I'm telling you, they have 4 guards that can make shots, and then they've got a 6'5" or 6'6" kid in the middle who is a nice player, and they've got subs. I mean, they run up and down the floor. Their motto is run as one. They want to run as one. Everybody's running together. And but they are the classic team that you see today. 4 guys outside the three-point line.
Yep.
The ball never breaks the three-point line on some possessions. Just pass around the three-point line. The ball never threatens the defense at all, and somebody's going to shoot it. And it's like watching a game of horse. Like I'm going to pass it, and then shoot a 3. Now, every now and then they will get downhill. They will, get downhill, kick it out, get a good shot. I mean, but just to watch them play, their reliance on the 3. And like I said, they got guys that can get you off the dribble. I thought if they would have drove it a little bit more, I mean, they were right in this ball game. But now Hillsboro, it's so funny. I was watching the game. I recognized the coach, but I wasn't sure if I knew who he was. And so they run up and down the floor. They run a snowbird action. They're getting a guy leaking out. They're throwing that thing deep. Pass and cut. They have 2 post players, a 6'8" and a 6'6". Both guys can come out and play away from the basket. Both guys can post up. The 6'8" kid caught one over the top, a little drop step dunk. It was nice. The 6'6" kid is a really, really good player. And he's another one that reminded me of the Shannon Wrights and the type of players that Dexter had back in the day, those 6'4", 6'5", 6'6" guys, but they could play, like they weren't just a big guy. Hillsboro was impressive. I went down and talked to their coach after the game. I walk up to him. I said, Coach, you don't know me. My name's David Heeb. I just want to come down and tell you how much I enjoyed watching your team play. He said, Coach Heeb, man, I remember you when I was an assistant coach at Oak Ridge, and we got to talking, and I knew this guy. And I said, well, I didn't know who you were, so I said, that was a sincere compliment. I just come down to tell you how much I like watching your team play. And so they were very fun to watch. I got to see Battle and Tolton play. Battle started out, they looked unbelievable. Then they just slowed down. Their point guard is really fighting through a tough hamstring injury right now. But I tell you what, give Tolton a lot of credit. They fought themselves back in that game, and they've got a really young team, but they're going to be good. Tolton is about a year away from being really, really good. Tolton ended up winning that game, I think, by 2 or 3. But the best game of the day was Sykeston against Whitfield. Torrance Watson, number 3 player in the state, already committed to Mizzou, 6'5", shooting guard. I mean, the guy is a big-time talent. And he ended up with 37, and it was an easy 37, really. I mean, he got to the free throw line a lot. I think there's at least one official who wanted his autograph. But he's a really good player. Sykeston, it's the first time I've seen Sykeston this year, and I'm going to be honest, the first half, I was mad. I was mad because
you're expecting something. You had high expectations.
I did. Well, first of all, I'm a huge fan of Greg Hollifield.
Right.
He's a great coach, and I actually texted Greg Friday. We had homecoming, and they were playing up here at Tolton. And so I texted him and said, hey, what time's that game? Because if I could get out in time, I was going to try to go to that game. It was our homecoming. I couldn't get out. I was on duty. So I was sad. I actually talked to my mom Saturday morning, and I was like, man, I really wanted to go see Sykeston play because I want to see somebody that plays, what I think is the right way. They get after it. They crash the glass.
Press and go hard.
I want to see it. And so talked to you Saturday, and you were like, hey, they're playing at 3 o'clock. Okay, I'm there. I went and got ready to go to the game. I'm going to the ball game. Well, I get there, and like I said, the first half, I'm just mad because Sykeston is just jacking it up, and they're taking a lot of threes. They're playing like everybody else plays. And I'm like, man, where is the pressure? Where is the rebounding? Where is the, I coached against Sykeston. And I'm like, I want to see it. I want to see it. And I was really mad. And so second half, they came out, and Coach Hollifield actually made a statement to him. He's like, this is not how we play. It's what he said.
Right.
I was sitting right behind the bench. And, buddy, let me tell you something. They got on that glass.
Yeah.
And they went to the boards, and they started getting second chances. Fred Thatch became Fred Thatch. And,
he's a man when he goes inside.
My goodness. He caught a ball at the elbow one time. It was late in the game. They were trying to foul. Whitfield was trying to foul. He caught the ball right around the elbow. He turned to make his move, and when he turned to make his move, 3 guys grabbed his arm. 3. I'm telling you, he's in the middle of 3 guys. It would have definitely ripped one of my arms off if they grabbed me like that.
And you got steel in one of your arms.
One arm is actually like Wolverine made of titanium. Would have probably ripped it off. Fred not only came out with both arms, he also had the basketball. They never called a foul. He turned and scored. It was just unbelievable.
Just play through it.
He's like a high school version of a Charles Barkley. That's who he is.
Yes.
He is like Charles Barkley, man.
I've never heard anybody say that, but that is spot on.
A powerhouse.
Like him or a Larry Johnson.
He is a powerhouse forward with some guard skills. He can shoot the ball. He can pass the ball. He can dribble the ball. But, man, I'm telling you, I enjoyed watching him play so much. And I enjoyed watching Sykeston play so much in the second half. I made the comment on Twitter, if you want to come in the paint right now, Trae Jenkins is charging rent because he owns it. Like, Trae Jenkins went to the boards in the second half. He got on the glass. Fred Thatch was in there. The twins, the 2 kids that had moved in from Alabama. They started making shots, and Kevin Jones competed. I mean, just competed. He had a great attitude. They ended up winning the game by 2. I enjoyed it. But in all of those games, here's what I saw. Even in the Sykeston game, situational basketball.
Yep.
When you hear people say, oh, kids today, they just don't understand the game. They don't know the game. Things like that. It's not. I think kids are better players now than they were.
Better athletes.
I think they're better players even. Like as far as there are kids making shots out there yesterday. There are more kids who are good shooters now than there were 10 years ago.
Able to play off the dribble.
There are more kids that can play off the dribble than there were 10 years ago. Kids are better athletes. The game is evolved, okay? But when you hear people say kids don't know how to play, here's what I'm noticing with teams. Situational basketball. And I'll use our own team as an example. On Friday night, we played Fayette. They're 15-1. They're ranked up there pretty high in the state in Class 2. Now, 15-1 in Class 2, they probably need to be playing Class 4 schools. We need
at the least.
Championship factor, Fayette. I'm sorry, starting Monday, you guys are Class 4.
And if you win a few more, you're Class 5.
At least Class 5, maybe Class 8. And so, but Fayette's a good ball team. Okay, so we're winning the entire game. We're winning the whole way. We get in the third quarter and we start to foul, and it's just a rough game both ways. Physical, kids are playing hard. And our guys, we put them in the double bonus with about a minute and a half left to go in the third quarter. So they're shooting 2 on every touch, on everything for the rest of the way. We've got a lot of young players, and we just kept right on fouling. And so did Fayette. And it's one of those games, and you've heard me say this before, it's whichever team can figure out we have to stop fouling is going to win this game. Because you have to stop giving them easy points. Some of these points you're giving people like – so now, for example, you go for an offensive rebound, referee calls over the back, they walk the other way and shoot 2. They just scored from 80 feet away from the goal. In essence,
never ran an offense.
They
were never on offense.
They get to stop and walk 80 feet and shoot free throws. And so, it's just situational. Like, hey, we have got to change what we're doing right now. Like at the end of the game, just watching, okay, they're going to press, they're going to trap us, and just kind of looking at, kids go, we don't know how we're going to handle this. Like, and I don't know if some of this is coaching on the part of, they're going to delay with 3 minutes to go. I don't know how you're going to hold the ball for 3 minutes against a trap. Like, you're going to have to get a layup or you're going to throw the ball away eventually.
Well, if the trap's any good, you will get a layup. If you're good enough to take care of the ball for 3 minutes against a trap, if that trap's good, you should have a layup.
Right.
Because there's going to be so much pressure up front that if you're good enough to take care of it for that long, then you can shoot a layup.
And so, just that's what I'm noticing when I watch games, like the last 2 minutes, the last 4 minutes.
Here we go. Let me ask you this one. And I get what you're saying. I know where you're coming from. And speaking from a different standpoint where you talk about, the teams running the 4 out and the 1 in and not crossing the 3-point line and all that stuff. And I know my own team, we do that a ton. We do it for semi-different reasons to where we are not as talented and do not take great care of the ball to where we need to get a shot up. And we try as hard as we can to get 2, 3, 4 passes before we shoot one. But at the same time, we feel like if we make a pass every now and then and this guy's just wide open, we need to shoot it because we may not get a better look. And it's like you and I talked about in the past where that three-pointer is kind of the X factor for a less talented team.
It really is.
So we really play the three-pointer or layup type of thing. And, if we can get something else, we don't want to shoot off the dribble because we don't have those type of players that we're talking about where, guys now can shoot off the dribble. They can make these moves and cross over, set back, pull it, where there might have used to been one of those guys on the team. Now there may be 2, 3, 4 of those guys. So, maybe it looks like bad coaching, but also at the same time, if you're that coach, where do you pull them back at? Like, I think of a guy like Drew Thomas, who took questionable shots throughout his career. A lot of times bad shots, tough jumpers, pull up 15-footers, and he just put the ball in the hole.
Yep, exactly.
When do you say, Drew, don't shoot that? You just made 7 in a row, but don't shoot it. It's a horrible shot.
I'll give you a perfect example. A guy who I'm a huge fan of, Trae at Battle. Trae Minnie is one of the best shooters in the state. And they guard Trae accordingly, like he's a phenomenal shooter. He gets no room to breathe. So sometimes Trae will take a shot and make you scratch your head and go, well, that was maybe not the best look. But where's the line for a great shooter? Because for him, open is he can get the ball up above his shoulders. Like he's open.
Yes.
Because he
better not have your hands down.
They cover him so tight, he doesn't get open like other players get. Like his.
And I think sometimes a guy like that is covered so hard, he needs to take 1 or 2 that are questionable.
Absolutely, and I agree with that. But I'm just saying the point being, I see more and more questionable shots, and especially questionable shots off the dribble now by kids.
Right, those are the ones that I don't love.
And the more and more what I see is, and I mean, kids can make these shots, but because a guy can make it, it's like because we've seen him make it, we are allowing kids now to shoot more 20 and 30% shots than, like that's, we're going to make some of these, but we're taking a lot of 20 and 30% shots. And
right.
We're never, and that's what I loved about Hillsboro so much. What I really loved about watching them play, they shot threes also. I'm for the 3. We shot the 3. We shot it. I love the 3. But I'm just saying, you got to find a way to get that ball downhill in the paint, in the post, on some cuts, and that's what I see is guys just standing around the line waiting for their 3, especially when they're like a 30% shooter.
Right.
And you're not seeing those guys cut back door. You're not seeing those guys flash the middle. Just we need more player movement off the ball, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's like watching a game of horse. You guys are just standing there waiting for their turn to shoot. And
and you see it's trickling down from the NBA.
It is.
Because basically you're describing the Wizards.
Oh, absolutely.
Where it's, I'm going to go, okay, next time you get to go. And I got a couple points about that. One, the off-the-dribble shot, you've got to practice that a ton. Because, one, just to become somebody that can shoot the ball, that's a lot of time. And then to shoot it off the dribble, that's even more time. And I've really been looking into this stuff this year just because it's so hard for my team to come by points. I'm trying to find every way we can. And the closest thing I could find was a study a couple years ago done in the NBA where a shooter, and this is an NBA player, not your regular high school kid, his shot percentage goes down 13% when he shoots it off the dribble.
That's amazing.
So imagine a high school kid off the dribble.
That's probably...
You're a 30% shooter from three off the catch. Now you're going to shoot one off the dribble. You're 17%.
Yeah, well,
and that's going off NBA numbers.
I'll give you an even better number. First of all, that's the best contribution you've ever brought to Just Win Today. That one
I do
statistic,
what I can.
Okay, I mean
I've got more.
I mean,
I'm just going.
I mean that one statistic right there. I mean, it's.
Well, I was going to go. Well, how bad is it going to get after 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dribbles?
Right.
Step backs, side steps.
Yeah.
Grab steps.
I mean,
you listen to me closer than you've ever listened to me before.
There's a lot of steps now.
Yeah. I mean, when I hear you say that,
You got heart, charisma, and a lot of skill.
You got a lot of skill, Toby. And so we got about 3 minutes to go here, but real quick, we want to do our Super Bowl picks and our Zion Williamson update.
Yeah.
Since I am the president of the Zion Williamson fan club, he committed to Duke.
You're probably more the president now,
They
right?
got the top
Duke.
3 players in the nation.
And number 8, 10, depending on where you go to look at it.
And so they are right now. Coach K is showing Calipari how this one and done thing is done.
He's taking him to school. I tell you what,
taking him to school.
They've got R.J. Barrett, the number 1 player in the country, from Canada. Canada is on the rise. It's amazing what they're doing up there. I don't know what it is, but we might need to go check it out and bring it back down here because they're taking us to school now.
Yes, they are.
And he's number 1, 6'7", 2, 3 kind of player. And then you got Cam Reddish, long forward, and then Zion. Plus they got the number 8 or 10, depending on where you look at it. He's number 1 point guard, and he's number 8 or 10 player. And then also, I don't think these 2 point guards they got right now are going to go pro. Gary Trent Jr. and Trae Duvall. If they do, somebody's lying to them or something. Or they're just trying to get out while they can and think they'll go prove somebody wrong on the next level. They're going to go play in the G League. So you better stay at Duke while it's fun. So you're looking at those 3 guard forwards plus the other 3. Man, Duke's going to be tough next year. I love Zion. I don't know what he can do after the high school level because, he plays super hard, but he is 6'6", and he's a power forward.
Right.
I root for him because I like the way he plays. And maybe he's the next Barkley we talked about kind of earlier with Brett Thatch on the high school level. Maybe he can bring something like that, and the game's getting smaller. So maybe that'll help him out. But, it really it hurt my feelings to see it yesterday because I'm such a North Carolina guy.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So that hurt. Where we're not getting those one-and-dones. We're getting those 3-4-year players.
Right. 1 minute to go. Give me your Super Bowl pick.
Well, it's confirmed now. It's Patriots-Eagles.
Patriots-Eagles.
Last week I said it's going to be Patriots and the Vikings. The Eagles took the Vikings to school, so I didn't expect that. And the Patriots just barely got by the Jaguars. No Gronk, probably. We'll see. Brady's got stitches in his thumbs. Still not going against them. Patriots.
That's right. This is what I got to say, and we'll sign off with this one right here. Tom Brady, he's going to tell him.
I do what I do because I do what I do.
I do what I do.
Patriots.
That's it.
Patriots.
And Patriots going to go play in some league that does not exist.
That's right.
Next year.
Championship factor.
They're too good.
Awful idea. So that's it for this week. Thanks for everybody listening in. The show was so good this week that Toby, next week, we probably won't be able to do it anymore. We've been championship factored out.
Well, we're going to go compete with ESPN now.
That's it. All right. We'll see everybody next week.